Spyro. Man, who doesn't love Spyro? I mean, he's purple. And there's a lot of cool purple things out there. You know, like purple rain, lavenders, grapes, birches, and bruises. Well, there are some celebrities that just love bruises, if you know what I'm saying, brother. The original Spyro trilogy on the PlayStation is my favorite video game trilogy. Genuinely do believe it's one of the best offerings that the art form has had. Great art style, fun and simplistic gameplay, and just the best of video game music composed by the ever so talented Stuart Copeland of the Police fame. It's remarkable how only a handful of people were the ones making it and were extremely talented at what they do, but unfortunately, Insomniac Games, the original developers, has signed a contract with Universal Studios to publish 4 games, this being Disruptor and the Spyro trilogy. Insomniac Games has had a toxic relationship with the publisher and simply wanted to partner with Sony directly, so they didn't renew their contract. Universal owned the intellectual property of the series and sought forward with finding new developers and carry on the franchise. While searching for new developers, they found and struck a deal with Checksex Games and Equinox Digital Entertainment, both up-and-comers, to make the brand new Spyro entry for the upcoming generation of consoles, the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, and also PC. Development then started promptly in the year 2000. Fast forward 2 years, and we got one of the worst games to come out in that generation of gaming. How bad? Well, the PC and Xbox port never happened. Toxic work environment, one of the worst rated games in the series. Oh yeah, a child suffered a seizure because of the game. Yeah, alright, let's unpack a bit. I guess the best way to start is by booting up the game. I'll be playing the PS2 version, although heads up, in order to capture footage, I've played on the PCSX2. But trust me, I have years and years of experience of playing on a console, and I'll bring up any specific details. For example, wow, very excited for the new generation in gaming. Hair physics, dust, rubber ducks, and loading screens. Doesn't matter because after those loading screens, you'll experience cutscenes that rival literal cinema. Everything about the first cutscene is a perfect amalgamation of the issues that will be foreshadowed later on in our playthrough. Piss poor writing.
What do we want this time, boss?
Laughably bad animation and bad frame rate. Like, how is it possible that cutscene has bad frame rate? This is the type of stuff that legitimately needs to be put in college courses on not what to do. Okay, basically the plot is Ripto is back. Just ever so casually, no threat. You know, in the second game, he did have this sense of threat and that we should be somewhat fearful. This loud, abrasive track of his perfectly captured his presence. But it's not done in here, or at least nowhere near as good. He wants to collaborate with Spyro. Spyro says that he's sorry but must decline your ever so gracious offer, making Ripto angry and kidnapping all the baby dragonflies. As perfectly described by Hunter, his words, the way his sentence is structured can rival those of classic literature, beating the likes of Cormac McCarthy.
Spyro, that little lizard totally stole all the dragonflies. Even Sparks is gone.
So now it's Spyro's job to go out there and save the day. Alright, you know what? This game genuinely doesn't look too bad. For an early PlayStation 2 release, it looks nice. The skybox, the water, and more look quality. And I like the bigger field. That's one thing Spyro 1 captures so well that the sequels couldn't compete. The feeling of being in this vast open land. Oh, wait, tutorial. The gameplay is your basic Spyro affair. Collecting gems. Breaking bats. Another one? And of course, flaming little critters for help. Jesus! The game is obnoxiously constantly holding your hand from beginning to end. The previous games, although never known for being difficult, didn't treat you as if you were fucking stupid. For example, in the hub world, yeah, not hub worlds, but the hub world, there's 3 challenges. Not only are the challenges the same, but just cosmetically changed, but 2 out of the 3 of them, Sparks will repeat how to fucking activate the gate, as if it weren't blatantly obvious that you can just walk through it. Not only is it annoying, but genuinely disrupts the flow of gameplay. It'd be like if in Mario, right before jumping onto the flagpole, a Goomba tells you, "Hello Mario, did you know you can use the jump button to jump?" Okay. I ain't being too harsh. In order to rescue the baby dragonflies, you must use bubble breath, obtained from runes. Here's a hot take. I don't mind this. I like the idea of capturing your MacGuffin. The idea. Many times I've gotten hit or lost challenges due to this awful range of attack. Not only does it have terrible range, but it causes the game to drop frame rates. Actually, it's not just the breast, but almost everything else as well. The amount of particle effects, the high polygon count, the big open worlds, all these crazy reflections on these things, it's all very taxing on the PlayStation 2. I swear, each step I'm cautious. No, not because of the enemies, but the game itself eventually just is going to melt. Maybe the game is some transcendental, big brain burst B-esque piece of art showing the dark grim future of gaming. The levels are huge, which although can sometimes look great, it's either a digital ghost town or long boring hallways with nothing visually interesting. The only reason wanting to explore these big spaces is to collect gems and the occasional dragonfly. But on rare occasions, there's a section where it's just chock full of detail, colors and shapes galore. Lowell Island and Cloud 9 come to mind when it comes to showing the great art direction when it comes to the environments. Not only do the levels feel wider, but also taller. A bigger focus of physicality in the levels are present, and man, it's cool, I'm not going to lie. Accompanying the superb level art direction is another killer soundtrack. Popular belief is that Copeland composed the soundtrack. Although somewhat correct, Copeland wasn't alone, and sometimes barely involved. He was a late addition to the game since he was already busy with other projects. He hired someone else to compose, Peter Neff, which in turn also hired someone else, Ken Burgomaster, who then also hired Emilio Carterer, who then also hired Emiliano Almeida. My lord, there's 5 fucking composers working on this shit. You might think due to this pyramid scheme of composers, the soundtrack is all over the place, but no, it's all very coherent. Fooling people for years and years, Copeland was the man behind it all. Copeland would see the levels, play through them, and would give the general ideas to the rest. The others would compose, send it to Copeland, and he'll either touch it up a bit or leave it as is. But trust me, those touch-ups by Copeland make the tracks 10 times better. The soundtrack has the usual instrumentations of previous titles, electric organs, hints of metal, and a whole lot of percussion. The biggest mix-up is the usage of more vocal samples and more synths, the tracks perfectly capturing the moods of each stage. I genuinely believe this is the best soundtrack in the series, or at the very least top 5. Alrighty, killer music and decent graphics. Well, not all the graphics are that good. Character modeling on the other hand is, well, it's a mixed bag. Some characters like Spyro look great, genuinely a good evolution of the character, but some, Spyro characters in the original trilogy always look like Muppets to me, with their flapping mouths and big eyes, which although looks kinda crude, it has this certain cute fun charm to it, which has never been replicated. Enter the Dragonfly smooths out all the character models, which although hides the polygon, they just look totally smooth, as if there were some inflatable balloon, adding with the awkward animation where lips move so naturally, like in the Mario 64 stretch minigame. If the game was made today, I wouldn't be surprised if they use AI upscaling and lens flare. They move like rubber. It looks, well, in lack of better terms, bad. But graphics don't matter. Game is primarily about the gameplay. And it's a gameplay any okay, come on, we all know it's dog shit, let's just get on with it. My biggest complaint with Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is that nothing works. The game doesn't function properly. Audio gets messed up, the previously mentioned attacks, the animation, and much more. I feel like I'm beta testing this game. Each playthrough, you'll discover new glitches, and I'm not exaggerating. Every copy of Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is personalized. And look, the previous Spyro games weren't completely airtight. Spyro 2 can be broken by performing a move invented by speedrunners called the double jump, but you see, You had to go out of your way to do that. With Enter the Dragonfly, a glitch is at every corner. Here's a few: going through gates, upside down teleportation, easy out of bounds, Spyro attempting suicide, swimming in the air, head bashing to a rainbow. And those are the minor glitches. No joke, while collecting footage, I finished the level of Hardy Marsh and got all the dragonflies. Then the next day, while collecting more footage, my progress for Hardy Marsh is just gone. Poof, vanished into thin fucking air. So I had to replay the level again. Or that you can beat the game in less than 3 minutes. I've already mentioned before about the size of the levels, but the amount of collectibles in each level is staggering. Even though the game only has 9 levels, yeah, 9 levels, the length is still quite long. Compared to the previous titles, Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is either the second longest or the longest. This is due to awkwardly traversing Spyro in these empty ass levels, picking up little gems and doing subpar minigames. Each level has 2 minigames of all different types: slides, tanks, planes, and speedways, no longer being in separate levels. The gem placement on these levels aren't very smartly put. With the original trilogy, gems are placed with a purpose. Gems are placed in an area that you would naturally be in. For example, in the path of point A to B, but also some would be placed in a point farther away, like a platform that you think you can't access. This will trigger something in your brain called curiosity, wanting you to explore the level even further. In this game, it's just shallow all over the level, and there are so many as well. The spread out, lazily organized gems force you to walk Spyro left and right in these empty ass hallways. It just sucks out all the fun. I don't feel an incentive to collect them. Plus, half of the time they're just jank as fuck. Like, they spawn upside down, they spawn in the T pose, and then a stationary animation plays, so even the movement looks off, or even the wrong count, as the yellow gems can either be 10 or 25. Plus, the draw distance is awful, they spawn like 10 feet away from you. You know, the reason they sparkle isn't just a cool little detail, but to notice them from a distance. The controls aren't any better either, nowhere near as the quality of Insomniac work. Again, it just doesn't work right. First of all, Spyro just moves slower. Even when charging, he doesn't move fast at all. Lighting is a nightmare. Landing on the platform feels like a huge gamble in itself. When controlling the purple bastard, it feels like the tactile equivalent of eating placenta. Look at this. I can mash jump and charge, and Spyro start fucking breaking it out as an IDM rave. Whenever Spyro falls into lava, it's impossible to jump out. It's just broken. And that's kind of it. Like, look, aside from the terrible optimization of the game, it's just a lesser copy of Year of the Dragon. I mean, yeah, there's unique concepts and ideas, but they add nothing to the gameplay, or actually just make the quality of the game even worse. Sure, the different breaths are interesting, but they're very gimmicky, only using them when absolutely needed. The inventory system is practically useless. Rarely you ever be holding more than 2 items. It didn't need to exist. And the windshield is actually just broken. Like, look at this. After playing the 9 levels, the shitter, the hub world is open and finally gets to fight Ripto, our one and only fight. Yeah, it's just one fight. And, oh, it's done. All right. Okay, there is a 100% ending, but I just went up there. Yeah, that was the ending. Yeah, that was. It just went by. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is an embarrassment, but not on the developer side. Mr. FO1 made a great video going into detail about the game development process. In short, it was a complete shit show. A lot of the blame can be aimed at higher ups like Universal not entirely knowing what to do with their franchise and just want a copy of the Insomniac titles. Checksuck Games had ideas to further expand the gameplay, a more linear title, and a new direction, but anytime they presented new ideas, it was just rejected and had to rewrite the design document multiple times upon more problems with Equinox Digital and the engine they were working with. There's one thing I can easily show you how much of a mess this project was. Go onto the pause menu and input this code, then go to the atlas and flip over to the very last page. Finally, you will see this, a secret credit page. These were developers that were left uncredited. Doesn't that just leave a sour taste? Maybe Enter the Dragonfly isn't just a rushed job for a paycheck. Maybe the game is a message. Artists like Van Gogh were heavily criticized for his work. Critics at the time believed Vincent's work is rather sloppy, with the brushstrokes making it look crude. But in reality, he was ahead of his time, and would heavily influence artists to this very day. Perhaps Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is a form of electronic interactive art, showing the future downfall of the video game industry. Universal didn't want a bold new take up for the franchise, but rather a simple cookie-cutter rehash of previous titles, without considering that perhaps the audience has grown up. So they released a half-baked product, which didn't tarnish a once beloved series. Publishers no longer want to take big risks. They've become comfortable with the endless stream of money. They don't want artists to challenge what could be done in the form of video games, because they don't want the flow of income to end. It's all too prevalent nowadays. The live service models and constant remakes. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly was maybe a message in a bottle sent from far, far away, and the game coded in cries of hope and change. Or maybe I'm just looking too much into the shitty dookie fart game.